Hey! Makoto Shinkai! Is that you?
I don't know if I've ever fallen in love with a show as quickly as I have with Super Cub, and yet no one seems to be watching it or talking about it. While the spring 2021 anime season is full of flashier shows that might seem more immediately interesting, Super Cub is a hidden gem I think everyone should watch. Super Cub follows Koguma, a high school student with no family or friends, with no dreams for the future and a clearly depressing present. She always rides her bicycle on the difficult commute to school, and one day after seeing a motorbike go by, she purchases a very old, used Super Cub motorcycle. This purchase not only completely changes Koguma's daily travel, but it also transforms her as a person and sets her on a path toward a brighter future. The first reason why Super Cub is such an underrated anime is its visuals. There's so much detail in every shot that it leaves you wondering whether you've seen 20 minutes of a movie rather than an episode of an anime. The animation studio, Studio Kai, has very few other shows under its belt, yet every frame of Super Cub feels lovingly crafted to deliver the most immersive, emotional experience possible. The amount of background shots of the town that we receive makes the setting almost a character in itself. We become intimately familiar with the locations that Koguma frequents in her daily routine, but then feel the same excitement that she does as she begins to deviate from that and explore new places. Even characters that are simply part of the backdrop in Super Cub receive unique designs and mannerisms, making the world feel realistic, like there truly is a lot going on outside of the small main cast. And the characters that are important receive prominent visual placement long before they're actually introduced. But visuals are only one element of making a show feel truly alive. You need the audio to match, and Super Cub nails it. There are few shows I can think of that have such intricate sound design as Super Cub. In the first episode, there's not a single line of dialogue spoken for the first 3 minutes and 25 seconds. Instead, we're introduced first to the town and then to the monotony of Koguma's daily life through sounds so detailed that you could close your eyes and still have a rich experience. The sound effects in Super Cub are supplemented by an equally amazing soundtrack, which consists mostly of piano music. The playing is very dynamic, starting off tranquil and then picking up in intensity and playfulness as Koguma gets her motorcycle and begins to break out of her shell. Koguma's piano music also contrasts with the rock music themes for Reiko, the first friend that Koguma makes. Super Cub's voice acting is phenomenal as well. While there's far less dialogue overall than in most shows, every line delivered by Koguma is emotionally impactful. I found myself tearing up multiple times watching Koguma's life transform from one of isolation and sadness to one of hope and adventure. And most impressively, this is the first voice role of Yuki Yomichi, Koguma's voice actress, as the only other show she's credited for hasn't aired yet. Reiko's voice actress is very passionate as well, and she also has a relatively small number of previous roles. I hope to hear more from both of these actresses in the future. Now, let's talk about the characters of Super Cub. Koguma has to be one of my favorite main characters in years. Her design is simple but so expressive, and though she's a person of few words, her face tells a much bigger story. We can see her loneliness, her wonder, her worry, her newfound confidence, and more without a ton of clumsy exposition like some shows have. In fact, I think Super Cub is one of the best show-don't-tell series I've ever seen. There are so many symbolic details, like Koguma parking her bike near Reiko's and turning a page in her book at the same time as Reiko to indicate their growing bond, or Koguma being surprised by the fact that her turn signal is still on the first time she chooses to take a different path coming home from school. The thing that impresses me most about Koguma is her perseverance and her problem-solving capabilities. When she's confronted with a roadblock like a problem with her bike, or rain, or strong winds, she's never discouraged for more than a moment. Instead, she works to find the most efficient and cost-effective solution, since she doesn't have a lot of money. She will rely on others if needed, but eventually she will take what they have taught her and become independent. Let's move on to Reiko, who also has a Super Cub motorcycle and is in many ways Koguma's opposite. She has a stronger, more outgoing personality without the social fear that Koguma has. Despite Koguma's reputation of being poor, Reiko treats her as an equal, as a fellow Super Cub rider. She helps Koguma to upgrade her bike, and with each addition, Koguma's personality also upgrades, becoming friendlier, happier, and more eager to go outside of her comfort zone. When it comes to the pacing of Super Cub, it's a lot slower than most anime you'll find this season. The amount of plot that happens in multiple episodes is what you might find stuffed into one episode in other shows. But that's the whole point of Super Cub. It's not a show where the characters have some grand goal to pursue. It's a beautiful slice of life where characters have to figure out that they have a goal in the first place. In theory, the events of the show are bland. Characters ride around doing things in their normal lives, like going to school, doing maintenance on their bikes, and working part-time jobs. But the real joy comes from seeing the way something as simple as eating lunch together or buying a cheap pair of goggles can have a huge impact on how a character behaves from that point on. If you're looking for a show with fast-paced action, Super Cub probably won't be in your wheelhouse. But I'd encourage you to give it a chance anyway. Sometimes it's good to just slow down and take in an amazing character study with stunning visuals and sound. Even though this show is much more laid back than most, nothing feels like filler and the episodes are so addicting that they fly by. Super Cub is probably the most underrated show of the spring 2021 anime season, and it has a good shot at being my anime of the season. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed this video, please consider liking and subscribing for weekly content. I'm Matrix from Matrix AM, Anime, and more, and I hope you have a great day.